See You at the Summit by Jordyn Taylor. This is a different kind of sapphic book today. The tagline of this is Girl comes out as bi, girl falls for a straight guy. So this is ultimately a heterosexual romance, but the lead character is a bisexual woman. And a lot of this book is about her experience as a bisexual woman. She is 29 years old and she has just come out. She came out the day this book started. She's known she was queer for a while but hasn't been able to admit that to herself. She has a lot of very repressed feelings surrounding her sexuality. She's sort of been in denial for a long time. She was actually sort of in a relationship with another woman, but she refused to say that they were in a relationship. She was just thinking of them as sort of casual fuck buddies, and she even tells the woman, like, I'm straight. Like, we're not dating, I'm straight. And the woman is like, we're fucking dating and you're not fucking straight. And then dumps her, basically, and she is forced to reckon with the fact that, yeah, she likes women. And she grew up not in a homophobic family, but her parents are sort of these perfectionists who kind of play to ideals, and they have a certain curated image, and they want to be, the perfect all-American kind of family. No missteps, nothing weird. Like, you have to keep up with the Joneses. And so she sort of felt this pressure to conform to this sort of traditional life path that her parents have kind of placed on all of their children. And at the very start of the book, she has come out via Instagram post as bisexual, and her mom has seen it, and her mom calls her or texts her and is like, you need to call me and like we need to talk. And she's very, very nervous about this. It is also her first day at a new job. She has a job working at this, I don't think it's a nonprofit. It's called the Rainbow Museum. And it's like a gay museum, but it's not a museum. I don't have a good grasp on what this is, because I have never been to whatever the fuck this is. It is sort of a museum, but sort of like an Instagram backdrop. That's really legitimately what they keep talking about. They have sort of different rooms with different exhibits, but think less museum exhibit and more like interactive children's play area, but it's not for children, it's for people to come and like take pictures with a rainbow backdrop for their Instagram. It's something. And I think it's supposed to be weird because by the end of the book, Simone, our main character, ends up doing like more activism work and like working with like queer mental health charities to like do something more profound than whatever the fuck this is. It's like a pop-up experience, like a fun little afternoon place. I don't know what this is, but it's her first day at work. It's her first day working with other gay people and like being in sort of a queer environment in a queer community and seeing other gay people and having them be like, yes, you are also gay, just like me, and like feeling that camaraderie and that kinship. But she also has a lot of imposter syndrome because all of these people are already gay. Like, the guy who founded the museum is clearly like a gay guy, and he's like made this his life's work. So she's sort of intimidated by the prospect of this brand new experience, all of these new experiences all at once. And in her sort of clumsy haze, she accidentally bumps into one of the carpenters that is building the sets for this museum. I hate to call it a museum. I think there are some like interactive learning elements, but the guy who runs this really keeps talking about those Instagram pictures people are taking. It's gotta look good for the gram. And this carpenter she bumps into, his name is Ryan. He's the love interest. He is the perfect man. At first they hate each other because he's kind of crass. Like, she bumps into him and he drops a big project he's working on and it ruins a bunch of his work. And so he's understandably upset. And she's like, that guy was rude to me. Doesn't he know that I'm also having a bad day? And so they kind of hate each other at first. But then they both end up going to a pride event in Canada, Vancouver. They go to a skiing pride event. On the back, this is an art copy. The book's already out, don't worry about it. But on the back it has like the list of like the tropes, the marketing tropes. And bisexual disaster energy, nemesis to wingman to lovers, coming out later in life, he falls first and harder, snowed in, one bed, oh no. And then one of the tropes is queer ski festival. Is that a trope? Have we read that before? I haven't read that before. Is that a thing? They go to a queer ski festival because their weird pop-up museum is building sets there for people to take Instagram pictures. I don't know why this is a business. I don't know how profitable this model is. I mean, it probably exists. There are worse ideas, I guess. I don't know. But the two of them end up going to this event, Ryan to build the sets and, like, do the practical stuff, and then Simone to be, like, the spokesperson for the company and, like, do the marketing and hand out other stuff, information about the event. I don't know why the people in Canada would be going to this American... I don't know. I don't understand what this job is. Whatever. And then while they're there, they spend more time together, and they're like, oh, maybe we're not enemies. Like, maybe we're bonding. And Simone goes through the story of how she's just come out, and she's stressed about what her parents will think. And then Ryan confesses that he just went through a breakup, and that's why he's really grumpy. And then they kind of like each other a little bit. They like each other, but Simone is mad about it because she has just come out as bisexual, and she is determined to date women. She wants to date women. She wants to have this queer experience that she's never allowed herself to have. And here's this hot straight guy. And she's like, no, I refuse to be attracted to the hot straight guy. I came to this pride event with this gay job to date women. I want to be gay. And so she kind of tries to flirt around at this event. Not super successful, but she enjoys being at a pride event and being around gay people anyway. And then snowed in, one bed, oh no. She hooks up with Ryan, our straight guy. And Ryan is the perfect man. He's perfect. He's a 6'2" carpenter. But he's really nice. He has 2 moms, so he's an ally. He's a feminist. He's very kind. He's a bottom. There's a lot of spice in this. We get a lot of their sex life. Ryan's sex life. He goes down on her. He doesn't just think about himself. He lives to serve. He's a brilliant combination of, like, traditional manly strongman, but also very emotionally sensitive and woke and kind. And, like, he's the perfect man. He's perfect. His only flaws are that, I mean, he just got cheated on by his ex-fiancé. Were they engaged? I've been reading a lot of books where people have been cheated on by their ex-fiancés. Whatever. He got cheated on, and he's grumpy. And maybe he has a little bit of trust issues. That's his one flaw. I think he can work through them, but otherwise he is the perfect man. I think this book would appeal to bisexual people, especially bisexual people who have really struggled with biphobia, both inside and outside of the queer community, like in the straight community and the queer community. She faces a lot of that from both sides in this book. People who come out later in life who were struggling to accept their sexuality. And then also straight women who are tired of toxic, patriarchal, like, conservative coded men in these books. I don't read a lot of straight books, but I know that, like, a lot of the popular books nowadays are, like, shadow daddies and, like, problematic men with, like, weird problematic undertones. So if you're straight and you want a hot man who's very unproblematic and he's perfect, you will like this. You don't have to be gay to read this. But you can be gay and read this. I am gay. But also, if you're gay and read this, you buy into the relationship because he's the perfect man. He's also the perfect man when, after they hook up, Simone is like, no, just a one-night stand. I want to date women. And he's like, okay, if that's what you want. But you can tell that he likes her, and also she likes him. But she's like, no, god damn it, I want to be gay. I want to be gay. I've spent my whole life trying not to be gay. Now I finally get to be gay. I want to be gay. And so she ends up going on a date with one woman. They go on a couple dates. She, like, really tries to like this woman, but the whole time she's thinking about Ryan because he's the perfect man, and they like each other and they get along. And eventually he runs out of work as a contractor at this rainbow museum. Like, they're all set up. They're open to the public. Whatever this job is, guys. So he's not doing any work there. She doesn't, like, see him every day anymore. She misses him. And eventually she just has to admit to herself that she she's in love with the straight guy, and she needs to be with him. So about halfway through the book, they get together, and they become, like, an official couple. And at that point, I was like, where is this gonna go? Like, I feel like our tension's gone now. Like, we've completed the relationship. We've admitted things to ourselves. But the book does find ways to hold tension or cause drama. Simone is still very insecure about her sexuality, and now in sort of the opposite direction, because she's a femme-presenting woman dating a straight man. Everyone just assumes she's straight. There are people, like, who come to the Rainbow Museum and, like, see the two of them together and then make comments about how, like, why is a straight girl working here? And then she feels really bad. Her boss is biphobic and is also making negative comments to her. She still feels like an outsider. She still feels like a baby gay who's never really had these gay experiences. And she wants to be part of this community, but she's having trouble being perceived as part of this community. Like, they go to a party at one point, and Simone is accidentally flirting with this girl just because she wants the girl to know that she's queer as well. It's like she wants to give off queer vibes, and, like, the only way she can kind of do that is by flirting with this girl, or she lies about her queer experiences. Like, they're dancing and I Kissed a Girl comes on, and she's like, oh my god, I had a queer revelation to the song. And Ryan's like, no, you didn't. You didn't know you were gay until, like, way later in life. Like, this song came out when we were in middle school. You did not have a queer epiphany to the song. But she wants to, like, project queerness. She's sort of appropriating queer culture. That's probably not the way to say that, but she wants to identify with all of these other things that other people like her do that she doesn't. And so Ryan's like, do you like me? Like, are we good? Like, why are you lying? You're being weird. You were flirting with that girl in front of me. You seem ashamed to be with me. It's like you don't want people to know that you're dating a man, which, like, valid. She's being very weird. And she kind of knows that. So there's, like, some third act breakup stuff. But, like, it's pretty good with, like, the biphobic angle. I liked the genuine bi experience here. That's why I read this. Most of the sapphic books I read are with lesbian relationships, even if the main character is bisexual. She gets with a woman. I think if you hear the term sapphic books, you think about a book where two women end up together. But really, a sapphic book is a book about queer woman, and this is a queer woman having a queer experience. And bisexual women exist, and they get with men. And that is a very different experience than being in a lesbian relationship. But she's no less queer for being with a man. And so this was a different queer experience than I'm used to reading, and definitely one that I did not have as a very gay-presenting lesbian who came out when I was, like, 11. I did not have any of these life experiences, and so it's very interesting to see, like, a completely different side of queer culture, queer experience. And there might be other books like this. I'm sure there are books that explore, like, specifically the bisexual experience and the bisexual female experience. I haven't read a lot of them. And again, not anywhere the main character ends up with a man and then has, like, this sort of distant connection to her queer community because of that. So I'm sure there are probably others out there, but I haven't read a lot, and I think this one does it well. You really empathize with her, you really understand where she's coming from. And then maybe if you don't have this experience, you think about what it would be like for bi people, especially with the biphobia she experiences in the queer community. Like, with her boss saying some questionable things about her. Implies that she's basically straight because she's in a straight relationship. Although there was one point where I agreed with the boss, not on that. Not with the biphobia. They're having a conversation about what to name an event, and it's tentatively called, like, the queer makeup extravaganza. They're gonna give each other makeovers. I don't know what the fuck this business is. They're doing interactive queer experiences. I don't know, man. And Simone is like, what if we called it, like, the LGBT? They never say LGBT, they always say, like, 2S LGBTQIPA+, which is a very long acronym. Like, I get it. All of those people are valid, all those letters are valid, the numbers are valid. But she's like, what if we call it that instead of queer? Because a lot of people don't like the word queer, or, like, they still see it as a slur. And then they have a conversation about how, like, older generations are more likely to see it as a slur, and like the young people have reclaimed it, but some of the older people haven't. And the Instagram CEO guy is like, okay, but like we're catering to younger people. Like this is a place where people come and take Instagram photos. And she's like, but no, but we should respect our queer elders, which is kind of a valid argument. I mean, I see where she's coming from, but also like anything can be a slur. Like gay can be seen as like a slur to some people. Even lesbian sometimes has a negative connotation for some people. But like I don't think queer being used in this context was like problematic or like alienating. And the boss says a line at some point. He's like shit talking her like on like the company Slack, which he should not be doing. But he's like, she's been gay for 5 minutes and she's telling me that I can't say the word queer, which I was like, okay, that's a little bit valid. But then he hits her with the biphobia, and I'm like, that's not valid. That's not valid. And then ironically, she goes on very soon after this to have a conversation with like an older bisexual man that she met at the skiing pride event. And then they both proceed to use the word queer about 20 times. 20 is an exaggeration, but like probably around 10 times the word queer gets used by both of them. Like it just comes out very naturally for both of them. Neither of them think about using the word. And I thought Simone was gonna have a moment where she was like, do I say queer to this person? Like I would call this a queer event. They're talking about the queer mental health thing. She's like, I would call this a queer event, but like maybe this older gay gentleman would not like that word, but he uses that word. And so I'm like, I don't. Do old people like the word queer or not? What are we saying here? Of course, that differs from person to person. This guy might be comfortable saying queer. Some people aren't. I know some people aren't. But also, like, I feel like it's a pretty common umbrella term at this point. And like she like really tried to die on that hill for a second, and then it doesn't matter. It doesn't come up ever again. She never thinks about it again, so I guess she didn't die on that hill. But like she brings it up like she's doing something, and I'm like, okay, like I see it, but it's also like everything about this is so sanitized anyway. It's like they're making fucking rainbow backdrops so you can have a rainbow Instagram picture. Like, do we need to sanitize it even more by removing the word queer because someone might be offended by the word queer? I don't know. That was such a minor plot point. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But whatever. By the end, she grows a bit more comfortable in herself and in her relationship with Ryan. She really does like him. Through all their trials, the lesson learned there is that she really likes this person and she shouldn't let him get away. She shouldn't let him go just because of her own insecurities. You gotta take opportunities as they come, even if they aren't what you expect. She learns to stand up for herself at her job with her shitty boss. She turns the weird Instagram museum into something a bit more substantial. It's a good little story, good little romance. I liked this. I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars. Pretty decent. Didn't like blow me away. It's not like my favorite book of all time. But I liked it. I didn't really have any problems with it. I think it was cool to read something different for me about a different queer experience. I thought the relationship was pretty cute. There's plenty of spice. I like that it wasn't the most traditional heterosexual spice you've ever seen. Again, Ryan's kind of a bottom. They don't have penetrative sex until the very end of the book. That's the denouement, the resolution of the book is that they finally have missionary sex. He really cares about her. The bedroom stuff is focused on her pleasure. He goes down on her. He does butt stuff. He's the perfect woke man, the woke feminist man. I don't mean that in a bad way. It sounds like I'm making fun of that. I love a woke feminist man. You love to see it. So I do think that's more interesting than a classic straight sex book. So I think straight women who want a little something different and like more progressive out of their romance novels will enjoy this. And then I think gay people will enjoy it because it's about being gay, being bisexual specifically. So I think you have a wide audience of people who will enjoy this. And it's also like an enemies to lovers romance. People like that. I think there's a lot of appeal in this and a lot of value in the perspective and how genuinely, like, well done and heartfelt it's done. So, good little book. I'd recommend it. If you care about that kind of thing, it's got quotes from Rebecca Falbion, who I've never actually read. I've seen a million of her books. I do plan to read them. They're all on my TBR. She has some beautiful covers. And also Anne Rose of A Excellent Chance to Fall in Love. That was a good book. So it's got some stamps of approval from some authors I've heard of / liked. And I did like the writing style. I think it's kind of funny a little bit. It's pretty well written. It's nothing like crazy exceptional. The writing style kind of reminded me of my writing style. I don't know really how to explain that. I felt like it was something in like the details and the way things are explained. I'm absolutely allergic to writing "she walked through the door." I have to say, like, her boots stepped over the threshold, carrying snow. She heard the tinkle of bells. As her body lurched forward through the doorway, she felt the gust of warm air from the shop enter. I can't just fucking say she walked through the door. I'm legally required now to say that I love the writing. It was fantastic. But yeah, it was funny. It was functional. It worked. I liked it. Good little book. Good to have.